So this will be an example of an RRH replacement. A good overview of how to replace an RRH. This 700 RRH is going to be different from our AWS RRH, different from our WCS RRH down there, but this will just to give us a good overview of how to change one out. So we already have our fiber removed, tested, and cleaned. So the first thing I do is we'll remove our ret cable, and that controls electronic down tilts in the antenna, so they can basically aim the antenna where they want it to go. So I'll go ahead and remove that, and that just screws out. And again, I'll make sure I look at my port labeling up here, and it should say ALD Alpha Lima Delta, or it'll say AISG 2.0, and that is our ret port. So you can unscrew that. I'll actually go over here. And it's the knurled threads up there you want to turn. And I'm going to swing around here real quick. Just to make it go a little bit quicker, I'm just going to remove the grounds on the side while you do everything else. So next, I will open up our power bay door, and that will be a T25 on our Torx driver. So that's the security T25 bit to get that open. The security bits are the bits with the holes inside of them. What I was telling him on the power bay door, they have missing threads there. So they should, on the tower, they should stay in there like that. So let's put that one back in there. So they just stay right in there. So in here we have our power. We're using negative 48 volts direct current DC. So it's backwards from what you think since it's negative. Our red wire is actually our ground or our return, and then our black is carrying our voltage. So in there, another good small thin tip screwdriver, and then there are set screws in there. You just go in there and loosen up the set screws. And again, I'll try and remember, I remember it this way. My red wire is on my right side, so RR, red for right, and black is on the left. So once we get those loose, then we can spin off our terminal adapter. So this plastic nut right here, we can spin that off. There's a couple different ways to do it. You can try and spin it off like that, or take this off, and then you can grip that nut. And actually it's spinning right now. So then the bottom portion should pull straight out, or you can pull the whole wire out now. So now we got our fiber disconnected, our power is disconnected, our ret cable is disconnected. I'm getting the ground off right now. We'll go after our RF jumpers on the top. So again, I have a hard time remembering this also, so I'll take a picture sometimes of where our color codes go. Blue means beta, gray means 700 LTE, and 2 grays means it's line 2. So this is line 2 beta LTE, and that's line 1 beta 700 LTE. Then up here on the ports, there's a TX-RX1 and a TX-RX2. So our TX-RX1 is our line 1, and TX-RX2 is line 2. Or you can cheat and just take a picture of it and then put it back the way you found it. So yeah, you just spin that off. So, sides on this particular RH, the bottom bolts need to come out completely. The top bolts have a shelf, so you can just loosen the top bolts up and then lift the whole RH up off the bracket. On this particular RH over here, you end up having to loosen the bolts up slightly and the whole thing comes right off. So we'll take the bottom bolt completely out over there, and then we'll just loosen the top bolts enough to loosen the clamping. So now we got the top bolts loose, we can just pick this straight up and sit it right down. So now we can see the bottom bolts have to come completely out, and then the top bolts just sit in that lip up there. The side bolt, or the side safety bitch, should be a T40. And we'll reuse our bolts just because it's going to be too tight to get in there with this. So we can put just our top two bolts in. You can see the labeling on these boards. So we have TX RX1, TX RX2. So TX RX2 will be line 2 and TX RX1 will be line 1. And that's just telling us that this port can transmit and receive, and this port can transmit and receive. Some RH's port 2 will be receive only. So we'll have transmit and receive, and then receive only. So. There we go. Cool. So now we can hook our RF jumpers back up, and we'll torque those down. Most of the torque wrenches you can torque either direction, but this one you have to go this way. You can't flip it and go that way with it. You have to go this way with it. So we'll just tighten that till it clicks. Then we'll just double check and make sure these are coming out straight. Now we can continue back to our power. So the first thing I'll do before we hook up our power wires is double check and make sure these top two set screws that come from the factory, and make sure those two are tight, because that's for the wire harness that goes up in the RRH. So we'll make sure those are tight, because those have been known to come from the factory loose, and that'll give us issues with intermittent out of service issues. And then these those are dead because we turned the breaker off, and I'll take them and work them back and forth and really get a nice twist on them so they go up in that terminal block nice and easy. Because this is where we see a lot of issues with RHs that go out of service. They won't have enough of the wire inserted inside. It'll cause arcing, and it'll actually melt that terminal block because the breaker's not set low enough to be able to turn it off when it sees arcing. So this is where the needle nose comes in handy to be able to guide those up into place. And I'll actually take my needle nose and hold the wire up in there as tight as I can, and then do my set screws at the same time. I'll just take a quick peek and make sure nothing, I made a really good connection up there and make sure those wires are fully seated. Yep, we're good to close that up. Cool. And then we gotta hook up our rec cable, which will go to that ALD port, or on a different model, AISG 2.0. It has a little index in there, so it can only go in one way. Cool. Once we get that done, then we will hook our fiber back up, and that will go into CPIR primary port. It's gonna be hard to get back on. Go ahead, it's good, so it'll show them. So if that does happen where this comes off, it's got 3 prongs inside, so you have to get 1 prong up at a time and kind of work it back and forth. Okay. Just like that. It's kind of just holding it at an angle and spinning it until you get all 3 prongs back up. And this is another spot where we see a lot of issues with. A lot of people will just take this plug and shove it right up in there, and then they'll put this right on. But as you do that, it's actually forcing the fiber up inside there. And if you don't pull tension on the fiber, you'll end up kinking the fiber inside. So when you insert this, you kind of want to just put a little tension down on the fiber jumper, push that up, and then a little bit more tension, and screw it back on. It's not so much of an issue when we have our full fiber jumper going all the way. Some manufacturers make it so there's 2 fibers exposed here and less protection, so then it'll cause it to kink when you shove it in there. So, and that's basic RRH replacement.